Okay. Okay. There we go. Well, put it bluntly, I was unimpressed with the responses to my videos about Israel and Jonathan Cahn and the attacks on Israel and things like that. So, so what I wanted to do was to do a critique on Jonathan Cahn because I was raised in the Midwest, Bible Baptist, fundamental Bible believing, conservative, non-denominational, Bible Baptist, whatever, anything and everything. Well, I'm a missionary kid. I'm from everywhere. But I, so I wanted to do a critique on Jonathan Cahn because you know he might not have known it. He might have he might not have known this, and but I was scoping him out. I'm from the Midwest. I'm a Bible Baptist conservative, non-denominational, all that stuff. Yeah, so I went to scope this guy out. Well, after going to Moody Bible Institute, after going to the Olive Tree congregation, which is a Messianic congregation, which I was, I was impressed with the Olive Tree congregation. It was different. I admit it's different. It's not the same as a Midwest conservative Bible Baptist where when they do the altar call, they basically don't stop until somebody comes up or whatever, all the stuff. Which Jonathan Cahn does altar calls too. But anyway, I figured I'd do a critique on we'll just say this is a reaction video to Jonathan Cahn's latest video, which I haven't seen. I saw like the introduction or whatever. But it's like generic Jonathan Cahn. So here we go. What I wanted to do like a really in-depth, we got bad weather or something. Maybe I have to change my internet connection. Probably won't make a whole lot of difference. But anyways, let's get into it. This is a reaction video to Jonathan Cahn, never before seen video, even though behind the scenes, I scoped him out. I said, I gotta see this guy, see if this guy is for real. See if this guy is like most of all of every other pastors and preachers and teachers and everything. And let me check this guy out. Let me check this guy out. Let me see this guy. I think I know how to judge the character of a person. So let me scope this guy out. For some 20, 20 years or whatever it was or whatever, I was in his ministry. So if anybody knows anything about Jonathan Cahn, you know, I know a thing or two, right? So the the reason why I'm doing this video is because I was very unimpressed with the responses I got with my videos on, Israel, on Jonathan Cahn, on, this kind of topic. So it's not, even though I'm doing a critique on Jonathan Cahn, I'm actually doing a critique on maybe some of my viewers or Christianity at large, Christian teaching at large. So let's get into it then. Let me go ahead and see if I can find this thing. I'm going to present. That's not in there. Where am I? Oh, there we go. Never mind. Okay, here we go. And there we go. All right, let me go ahead and make this full screen. Of course, this is a never before seen reaction video to Jonathan Cahn. And you might notice his black attire. He's got a black tie. He's got a black suit, and his beard is black. His hair is good. Well, he's got a haircut. Well, didn't used to always have a haircut, but that's another story. Well, maybe I'll get into it. Even though this is a critique on Jonathan Cahn, I'll just be upfront. I love the guy. He's pretty cool. But anyway, but he's not a fundamental Midwest Bible Baptist.
Whatever you have to do, build hedges. What is a hedge? A hedge is saying, this is not movable. I don't.
Okay, hedges. Hedges is a big thing with Jonathan Cahn. Hedges is a big thing, and it's an important thing. If you read the Old Testament, you got to build hedges and stuff. It makes a separation between you and the outside world, basically. And as a Jewish person, which I'm not really, I'm like sort of, I'm descended from Israel, but I'm kind of like excluded from Israel, but that's another story. But as a Jewish person, you have to make a separation between you and the world. So this is what he's talking about.
Don't cross this line no matter what happens. I don't do this. And it also speaks, the priest's undergarments also speaks of the flesh, because it covers the flesh, the weakness of the flesh. A key principle in God is everybody's got weakness. Take note of it.
Well, that's true.
And cover it. Don't leave your weakness.
Well, that's good. That's good. We can agree with that, right?
Exposed for the enemy to use. This is like the Samson principle. Samson was so strong, incredibly strong, yet it was all undone because of his weakness, not because of his strength. He was blinded, he was enslaved, he was humiliated. Why? Not because he wasn't strong, but because he never guarded his weakness. So it didn't matter. In the end, his weakness overcame his strength. So in your life and so in your walk.
That's pretty profound. That's very profound. His weakness overcame his strength.
The enemy is going to be looking for weakness. He'll look for them in any part he can find it. And he knows it already. You be wise and cover it. Take precaution. Take preemptive action. The priest must cover his or her weakness. Know what it is and take action to protect.
Speaking of priests, why is he talking about priests? Because he is a Kohanim, priest of Israel. And a legitimate one at that, considering he believes in Jesus.
Yourself. And don't pretend that you don't have weakness, and don't pretend you can't be tempted. Everybody can. And the worst thing is when you think you can't, that's when you're probably going to fall. The undergarment covered the flesh. Paul covered himself. Paul He said, I have to take precaution. He said, I beat my body. I discipline my flesh. I bring it into subjection, lest by any means, after having preached to others, I myself will be a castaway. If Paul could say that, we have to take that very seriously. The strong man or the strong woman is the one who knows his or her weakness and covers it. One minister, was talking about lust, and he said he'd lock himself in a room until it passed. Good for you. I don't trust flesh. I don't trust anybody's flesh. I don't trust my flesh, anybody's flesh. I trust the Lord. And you shouldn't trust your flesh or anybody else's either. Priests had to cover that up. I remember growing up, I watched Saturday morning television. And if those of you who are alive at that time, it was monster movies. Dracula, Frankenstein, Abbott and Costello and Frankenstein, all that. And there'd be the time when the old gypsy lady would say of the Wolfman, even a man who is pure in heart.
Let me just go ahead and interject here. There's Jonathan Cahn grew up in the United States watching movies that everybody was given to watch. I grew up in the Amazon jungle, and I don't necessarily even know what those movies are, but it is what it is, and I just think that's an interesting thing. For whatever reason, it's like he might have a fascination for movies or something. I don't, but even so, he can get a few things here and there, or ideas or something, But anyways, the point I'm getting to is like, he's not where I came from. He's where maybe a lot of you guys came from. And yet, he's been called by God and has been useful by God, been used by God in many ways. And maybe more than me.
And says his prayers by night, may become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the moon is full and bright. Now, it's not biblical. There's a problem right there, because you're not supposed to just say your prayers at night. You're supposed to be praying at all times. But maybe if you were praying at all times, you wouldn't be turning into a wolf. I don't know. But the truth comes in this: when it comes to the flesh has its own mind. You cannot redeem the flesh. You have to crucify it. You can't give it room; it will never listen. It'll be, and if it pops its head up, if you give it room to pop its head, it'll be just as bad as when you were a new believer, when you were unsaved, because the flesh doesn't change. The Spirit is what does the work. Trust the Spirit, not the flesh. Distrust the flesh so much that you cover it up with God's covering. Example: you had an alcoholic past, cover it up. Take precaution. One minister had been into drugs before he was saved, and he went to a doctor, got to put him on a medication, prescribed painkiller, addictive. He got back on drugs for a time. He got out of it, but he almost was lost. Take precaution. And the principle in that, so important, is the principle of hedges. Whatever you have to do, build hedges. What is a hedge? A hedge is saying, this is not movable. I don't cross this line. No matter what happens, I don't do this. No matter what happens, I do this. I don't allow this. And
this is basically the difference between a Jew and a descendant of the Danite tribe. The Danites crossed every line conceivable, which is probably the reason why they're not included as one of the 12 tribes of Israel in Revelation.
No matter what happens, I don't get in that situation. No matter what happens in our marriage, this is our hedge. We don't allow this. We don't allow that. In our family, like for instance, we don't allow getting close to somebody of the opposite sex, spending time and all that. We have hedges. You've got to have that. But no matter what. But hedges only work if you keep them. If you have a hedge and you break them, it doesn't do anything. And you might say, well, most of the time I'm okay. I could go without the hedge. That's not the point. If it only takes one time, like you could do 100 times, one time, and it destroys your life. Keep the hedge when you don't need it. It will keep you when you do.
There you go. And I respect Jonathan for holding to this teaching, which is basically a Jewish teaching. I mean, it's a Jewish teaching not to be like everyone else.
But not only that, let me give you another key, another secret. These are very practical things. Not only build hedges away from the sin or the situation or the temptation that is dangerous to you, but build hedges that keep you from even that which leads to the thing. You understand what I'm saying? Or, keep yourself from the situation before you get to the sin. In Proverbs, interesting, it doesn't just say avoid the adulteress. It says avoid her door. That is key. Avoid the door.
Yeah, and this is very important because you can't make any provision for sin. I mean, if you want to be perfect. If you want to be perfect, you can't make any provision whatsoever. You can't make any provision for sin.
And you'll never have to lead. If you avoid the door of the adulteress or the adulterer, you'll never have to deal with the adulterer or the adulteress. You're dealing with a door. And it's a lot easier to deal with a door than it is with that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, the proverb says don't even walk by the, well, I guess that's the same thing. Don't even walk by the door.
Deal with the door. Cut it off before the door to the temptation. Build your hedge so you never even go to the door. You never get in that situation. You know that, hey, if I'm in this situation, I'm weaker. If I'm late, if I'm tired, if I'm arguing, whatever, then build the hedge so you don't get there. So you could become strong, you could try to be strong, or you could be strong.
Let me tell you a story about my dad and a dog that he had. Now, this is a dog. You know what a dog, the nature of a dog, right? The nature of a dog is the nature of a dog. So, my dad had a dog. He would go running and he would take the dog, right? And now this is a dog. We're talking about a dog. So he'd go running around the block, whatever, doing his exercise, running around. But there was a chicken farm over in this certain area. And my dad trained his dog, his dog, not to even go by the chicken farm. So I didn't realize this, so I went running one time. I went running with the dog. And I started running around the block, whatever. But I was going by the chicken farm, right? So I'm running, and I get close to the chicken farm, and the dog is barking. The dog doesn't want to go. Dog doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to run by the chicken farm. But this is a dog. This is a dog that doesn't want to go near a chicken farm. Enough said.
By eliminating your weaknesses, taking precaution against your weaknesses. The more you do that, the more strong you'll become. And people will think you're the strongest believer. They don't know you have a secret. Because you're not resisting the temptation of sin, you're even wiser. You're resisting the door, and the door is a lot easier to resist than the sin. That alone is worth the price of admission, and it's free. So that's it. The Hebrew says the undergarment is to cover the.
By the way, there's no admission to go to Beth Israel in Wayne, New Jersey. Anybody can go anytime. No admission at all. No cover charge. Anybody can go at any time and listen to one of his sermons, like many people do.
Priest's Hebrew erva. Try erva. Erva means his nakedness, but also can mean his shame or shameful things. Everybody has some shameful things. I mean, something you were ashamed of, something you did in your past life, or even may have happened in your life in the Lord that you're ashamed of. And if you say, I never have anything to be ashamed of, you should be ashamed of yourself for saying that. Because everybody does.
This is classic Jonathan Cahn. Classic.
There's something, that way. And the thing is, your shame or your shameful thing will prevent you, will hinder you from fulfilling your calling. It can be a shameful habit, a shameful thought, a shameful lust, a shameful indulgence, a shameful endeavor, a shameful lack of self-control, or a shameful thing you did in the past that is still haunting you, and it's preventing you, it's hindering you in God. Or a shameful thing that was done to you, which happens in this life too, that is hindering you. You need to deal with it. Cover it with the love of God. Cover it with the cleansing of God. Cover it with the redemption of God. He will do it.
So one of the things central to his teachings, if I may say, is that God can work with anyone regardless of past circumstances, situations, anything. God can transform your life regardless.
The blood of Messiah cleanses us from all sin and all guilt and all shame. It says in 2 Corinthians 4:2, Paul says, but having renounced the hidden things of shame, we are not walking in craftiness anymore. Hi, I'm Jonathan Cahn, and I hope you were blessed with the video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Feel free to share your reactions with your comments and how you were blessed, and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
There you go. There you go. All right. So that was my critique. Well, looks like YouTube didn't like Pastor Cahn stream. Unavailable all of a sudden. Well, that ain't right. Maybe they don't like me. Well, it was a good video, wasn't it? Can I hear an amen? It was a good video. I liked it. I thought it was good. But anyways, I wanted to explain some things with Jonathan, which he was into a sermon quite a bit, so turned out that I wasn't able to talk a whole lot about him. But did you get a strike? No, I don't think I did, but maybe I'm wondering, maybe they took one of his videos down, but we recorded it here. We got it here just in case. Maybe it was taken out. I don't know. So, but I wanted to share some things about Jonathan Cahn because you may have seen him on Jim Baker's channel or Christian Broadcasting or maybe some other network or something, which you may have been associated with maybe Benny Hinn or somebody, something like that. But the truth is that he criticizes unbiblical, charismatic activity or whatever it is they do because you have to understand if you go into major city, if you go into the big city, everybody there believes in the gifts of the spirit. So everybody's into the gifts of the spirit. Spirits moves you this way, that way, whatever. So this is the environment that he is in. It's like he can't jump out of the environment. I mean, he can't. I mean, but he can like give an example, give a testimony, and say what should be happening, what shouldn't happen, and stuff like that, which he does. And you can see his teaching is right on biblical teaching. It is biblical teaching. I mean, you could criticize this or that or the other thing. Like maybe he doesn't say this or that or something else. And like he probably doesn't support Calvinism or stuff like that, which I disagree with myself. Some of the points because there's some of the points are good in Calvinism, like eternal security and things like that. But a lot of this stuff, like God chooses you, and if He doesn't choose you, forget about it. You got no hope. That's not the gospel. That's not the gospel. The gospel is that you have to make an effort when the the sons of Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, were fighting. What did God say to Cain? You have to see if you can find it in you to do well, to do good, which he was unable to do. So you can see there is a will in the person to either do well or to not do well. And this all has to do with the proximity of the person to God. If the person is close to God, he can see and understand. If the person is far away from God, doesn't come to God, then he's not going to benefit from that proximity to God. It's basically that simple. If you go away from God, you're not going to understand or know much of anything. If you come near to God, that's where God will enlighten you, give you vision and ability and power, and you'll be able to do everything that's required. So there is this aspect of the human volition in salvation, but God knows who is going to draw near to God, who is not. It's not that complicated. The story of Ruth, seems like an ordinary story. Yeah, seems like an ordinary story, right? Okay. Ruth and her husband, they go to a foreign country. They marry, their sons marry foreign women. Both her sons die. She has two daughters-in-laws. One daughter-in-law, they both want to go with it. They both say, "Oh, we're going to go with you. We'll go wherever you want." But Naomi says, "No, just stay. Just I gotta go. I'm going back to Israel. I just got to go back to Israel because I've had, I came here and everything turned out bad and it's horrible and everything else. So Naomi's going back to Israel. So what does Ruth say? Ruth says, "Wherever you go, I'll go. Wherever you die, that's where I'll be buried. Your people are mine, your God is my God." And her sister, or the other wife, turned back. The other daughter-in-law turned back. But Ruth insisted on clinging to Naomi. And she became an ancestor of Jesus. So your participation is going to make a difference, contrary to what Calvinism teaches. Your will and your desire is going to make a difference. And of course, this is what is almost central to Jonathan Cahn's teaching, and I've listened to him like 20 years or whatever it was. And you have to make that effort. You have to make that effort. It's your effort to draw near to God or not. And that's what makes the difference. I mean, everything is by the power that God gives you, anyways. Everything is to the glory of God, anyways. But you have to find it in you to do what is right. You have to see if you can find it in you to do what's right. That's what God told Cain. See if you can find it in you to do well. This is biblical teaching. This is the truth of God's word. It's not like, does God love you? Maybe, probably he doesn't love you. So if you're chosen, you're chosen. If you're not, you're not. That's not the gospel message. The gospel message is for you to choose to do what's right. And God is able. God is able to give you all the grace required for you to do everything that you are required to do. God is able to give all grace, make all grace abound towards you, so that you, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. God is able. Salvation is not through works, but it's by the washing and regeneration and renewing by the Holy Spirit, which is basically what Jonathan was talking about. This is the biblical teaching. This is not some philosophical, doctrinal gibberish, right? We're not positionally saved. We really are saved. We really are given the ability to do what's right. We really are giving the power of the resurrection. And this is what makes the difference between us and non-believers, because we believe that God is able to give us the grace to be able to do what is right, which is all by God's power and to his credit and to his glory anyway. Let your service be as it were by the strength of God. Let your utterances be as it were the utterances of God. Why? So that in all things God is glorified. So even your ability to serve, to do what's right, is given to you by God. So give him the glory. Give him the glory for that. It's a requirement. The Ten Commandments are not, you got to do this, you got to do that. No, the Ten Commandments is you will not do this. You will not do that. You will not do the other thing. You will be able to do everything that God requires, and that's the truth of God's word, regardless of what anyone says. So, but anyways, supposed to be talking about Jonathan Cahn. It's supposed to be a critique about Jonathan Cahn, but yeah, I watched him for 20 years or so, and you know, you can criticize this, that, and the other thing and stuff. I'm from the Midwest. I'm the Midwest Bible Belt from Midwest, fundamental Bible believing Baptist, and I was impressed. Well, I was impressed with Messianic teaching because all of a sudden, everything that I always learned when I was a kid, all of a sudden it actually meant something. All of a sudden it became real. All of a sudden it applied to me. All of a sudden it was really true. And so I guess, might as well end it with that, but because I've been going on for a while, but that's about it. And so, for me to endorse somebody, not that I'm everything in the world, but for me to endorse them, I don't ask my relatives, I don't endorse people. I don't recommend people. And if Jonathan Cahn lets me down, then, so be it, but whatever. But otherwise, I, I found him to be an outstanding individual as far as teaching and service and just his humility, because I've been around. I'm a missionary kid. I've been around. I've seen a lot of preachers and teachers, preachers and teachers, messing with their suit and coat and tie and everything. Everything's got to be. I've been around. I've seen these people. I know who they. I can just like know who they are just by looking at them, basically. But I can absolutely recommend that Jonathan Cahn is a genuine person. He's got a genuine person, genuine life, everything. But I have to say that when we first started out at Beth Israel, that the secretary was like I won't say pulling her hair out, but she was like saying, he's got to get married. Jonathan Cahn has to get married. Jonathan Cahn has to get married. Because when I knew him, he had like a big shaggy beard. His hair was like all the way out here. His hair was all over the place. A big shaggy beard and everything. So Gladys was like, oh, he got to get married. He got to get married. So then turned out that he went to South America to evangelize, to ministry, evangelical ministry. So he went to this Hebrew Christian church, Jewish, basically messianic, Brazilian style messianic church, right? So he goes down there, and so he meets this pastor's daughter, this messianic pastor's daughter, and they, the, thought, or liked her, whatever. So he's going to marry her. So he's married this, you know. Sorry if I mess up her name. I think her name is Renata or Renata, but if I mess it, I'll be in trouble if I mess that up. But anyways, um, so he marries this pastor's daughter who is Jewish. She's Jewish. The pastor, the messianic teacher was Jewish. She's Jewish. He's Jewish. So I'm like, so I I heard that he has a girlfriend. I said, so I go up here because after the sermon, everybody goes up to try to greet and try to talk to Jonathan Cahn and try to tell them their miseries, or I mean, whatever. Or everybody wants to talk to Jonathan as they're leaving the church, right? So I'm waiting in line. I wait in line as a sorry. So I wait my turn, and everybody's talking. Everybody's talking all over the place. People are walking out. People are walking by. They're still saying stuff. They're still trying to talk to them. People are walking. So I wait in line. So I go up there with my question: Is she Jewish? He says yes. Yes, she's Jewish. which which is an important thing. I mean, but especially if they're calling it. But anyways, it seems to have turned out very well. They have 3 kids, I think, so far, and it seems to have worked very out. I'm very happy for him. And so now his hair is nice and groomed. His beard, it looks nice and everything. Very happy for him. And and his son just had a bar mitzvah, so 13 years old, and I remember him running around, as a little toddler or kid, whatever. But now he's becoming a man. He's trying to figure stuff out, and, try to find out what's true and stuff. Anyway, I guess I talked long enough. That's good enough right now. God bless everybody. Take care and stay close to God. Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you. That's a promise. God bless everybody. Take care.